And welcome to Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube and social media. So please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And hey, on YouTube, you can even hit the thanks button. So I'm just putting up the notice for everybody to come watch. So there I am. I'm 10 minutes early. Ta-da! We'll see who shows up on this. But we start with this. I make the algorithm happy. That's why I always say stuff. Brought to you by ricksniderswashington.com, which I've combined my websites and my interests together and stuff. I'm still writing for yardbarker.com. Have a column up today about the secrets of how I think Dan and Quinn pulled this together. But if you go to ricksniders.com, and it does have that Snyders with an S or without, I did both on the URLs. Rick Snyder's Washington. You can read some of the cool tour guide stuff that I do, as well as the commander stuff and whatever. I got some other things popping up here and there. We're getting close to doing the first episode of 52 Questions for God. So that one's coming up soon. It's been a lot of fun really working on that one. So I have a lot of different projects going on. The off season continues because, I have to wait. The Washington Commanders are still fighting a good fight. They beat Tampa Bay, which did not surprise me really. I thought they could win a playoff game. Now they go to Detroit on Saturday night, another 8 p.m.er, and that kind of thing. So it's still going. I answer questions, Greg. No matter what JD aside, we're still a young team. No, this team is the oldest team of the playoff teams at an average age of 28 years and something. It makes you old. So, no, they're still that. So anyway, we're like 5 minutes ahead of the normal starting time. So I'm just kind of talking about some stuff we're doing. Because I said once the Commander season was over, I'd take a little bit more of a breath. I'm turning 65. I want to do some other things, going to Hawaii. But here's the thing about Hawaii. This shows you how faith I had. I did not, my wife said, where do you want to go? February? I said, yeah, but let's go like 10 days after the Super Bowl, just in case. I couldn't imagine if I went and this team made the Super Bowl and I was in Hawaii. So that shows you I had a little faith. I booked that in December, or November maybe, I forget. So 10 days afterwards, when everybody's done screaming, I'll be in Hawaii for a couple weeks there. Going to LA. I'm not sure what to do about LA yet with all the fires, and also Seattle. So if you live in any of those cities and want to buy me a beer, great. On there. What chance do I give us in Detroit? Okay, Mojo, you didn't hold back on that question, huh? I think they have a fair chance to win in Detroit. I mean, Detroit's a good team. They had a bunch of injuries, and at the end of the season, they were tailing off some, and I thought, maybe they're just not going to be able to make it to the end. And then they beat the bejesus out of Minnesota to kind of say, no, we're still here. So going to be a high-scoring game. JD's got to be JD Max. Listen, they've won the last 5 games on the last play. Who does that? 5 straight games on the last play of the game. One of them was a defensive play. And that's not even counting the Hail Mary against Chicago. Who does this kind of stuff? Teams of destiny kind of stuff. Jamaican bobsledders here. He wants to know if C-Rod will play. I think he should because I don't know what's going on with Brian Robinson, but he can't crack an egg. Yeah, I know they're not blocking for him very well. I know that. That aside, you got to go have success. It kind of reminds me, when the general told Robert E. Lee, listen, you want me to cross a mile of open field against cannon fire and beat the, Union Army at Gettysburg? We're not going to make it. And Lee said to him, if you're done bitching, there you go. And the guy was right. Pretty much ended the war. But, it's kind of sometimes you got to do what you got to do. This is a results-driven league and job. And, that's how it goes. So, Brian Robinson just hasn't done it. He hadn't hit 800 yards in any of his 3 years. I've made excuses for him, but it's not there, So I think next year they'll have a different running back on there. And C-Rod, I don't know if he's your prime back, but certainly the guy, you got a 3rd and 1 or something. This is the guy you can use on it. So I was pretty up with that. I wrote a column today, did some video work about people, around the nation are just starting to really realize, the Commanders are for real. which is why they're the night games, because TV's like, ooh, people want to see something new and shiny. And I thought, yeah, Steve, I beat all these people are here. Steve, where you been? Steve's always first, always first. This is like your worst effort ever, man. You're like 20th. I just wanted to throw you one. I don't know. I sat here and was like, I'm ready. I was just do it. Sorry, Steve. Didn't give you a heads up in time. Maybe I'll fall asleep. I didn't get to bed till 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock. It was 2 o'clock last night. So we'll see if I make it to this hour, and then I'm going to bed. It's, Sunday to Monday is just when I'm not sleeping, I'm working. So you get the last part of it, which is why I always tell people, hit that $sign under YouTube screen that says, Rick, thank you for doing this for us, because we know you're tired and it's the end of a long 24 hours plus. So here's $5. That's how it works. For those of you too cheap, hit the thumbs up button if nothing else. Hey, this is a new media world. The media is not out there for jobs much anymore. I got laid off of 106.7 The Fan. I'm over at yardbarker.com now, but not the same thing. But I do have Rick Snyder's Washington now. It's really going, it's not quite full board, but it's getting there. So go check that out too, ricksnyderswashington.com, and you can see, tourist stuff I've got going on, and plus the Commander stuff's there. And, you have to support people on the air like this now. I know it used to be just watch us free and no one cared, but, we're not sticking around for that anymore. So that's why we tell people throw in a few bucks, because that's the only way we're going to fade away like that. And if you live in Washington right now, the old News Channel 8, which is now WJLA 24/7, I think they call it, I'll be on at 9 o'clock. We taped it earlier. So you can see that in a little bit. Oh, I forgot to put on the game. Hold on a second. Oh, I wanted to be able to see some of the game too, just to see what's up. Somebody went 5-0 in their picks, by the way, Saturday on YouTube, where I picked all the games. So, haha. Yeah, I mean, I had a decent year picking games. I was plus 11 for the year, which I know means I didn't even go above every week, but that's just how sports, when you pick in every game of sports betting, it's kind of hard. Okay, which channel is this thing on? I don't even know. It's on ABC. Okay. I got the sound off. This way I can see what's going on. It's funny. Somebody asked me the other day, what's a bigger story, Ovi breaking Gretzky's goal scoring record, or the Commanders winning a Super Bowl? And I just laughed. I said, the Commanders winning a Super Bowl in Washington is a bigger story. Sorry. I mean, I love Ovi. I think it's awesome what he's doing, but that would be second. Luckily, it won't happen at the same time. Okay, so let me get some questions. Don't let Kingsbury out the door. I don't see it happening, Greg. I think he's happy here, but you never know with money, man. Never know with money. Hey, Todd. Oh, Todd's here too. Yeah, you're like Steve. You expect me to be there at 8 o'clock. Boom. And I came on a few minutes early just because, I don't know, I was ready to go a few minutes early. You get bonus time. What do I think about McCarthy leaving Cowboys? Casey, he wasn't going to get him to the Super Bowl. And at the end of the day, you can go 12-5 all you want. And that's nice, but you got to really make a Super Bowl move. Jerry ain't getting any younger. We can see that, even if he is on, what's it called? Landman? So I got to watch the next episode. I didn't get to see it yesterday, which is pretty good. I was sitting there watching it last week. If you was Billy Bob Thornton in the show, if you've been watching it, I think it's called Landman, right? And they had this scene where this guy sitting there, and I thought, boy, it looks like Jerry Jones. And it turns out it was. Abdullah, yep, they pulled it off. And Daniel's here. Great. Appreciate it. Lime Wire's here. Jamaican Bobslayers, thank you. I do appreciate it. Always appreciate when people invest in keeping the show going. I don't do advertising, at least not yet, but I'm thinking about it. So that we don't that doesn't get in the way of you and I just talking and all that. And so I don't have to stop and go, drink Sprite. It'll make you feel good. Whatever. I do have companies pitching me stuff to endorse, believe it or not. So here's a funny story. This PR agency comes to me one day and says, we want you to model this company's clothes. And I'm thinking, what, fat boy clothes? What? Were you crazy? It was a women's swimwear company. I'm not kidding. And I'm looking at this. I said, I called her up. I said, lady, you're going to pay me not to wear this. I said, and I thought later on, man, I should have rocked a two-piece and watched the internet burn. but you guys would have never let me go on that. So that was the craziest thing. She goes, oh, it's in some book that you do this. I don't know what book you got, but it ain't my book. That was crazy. But now they're trying to hit me up to endorse other stuff. So, hey, man, I need money since 1067 The Fan laid me off because they were going, Odyssey was going to go bankrupt without my money. So, whatever. That's just how it is. That's why I tell people you need to endorse shows, not just mine, but others. Throw a few bucks, it makes a difference. Mojo, winning changes narratives. I got that right. I haven't heard anybody bitch about Commander's name in a week. Dr. Wonderful. I like that name. Yeah, women's swimwear, not even men's swimwear. That's the crazy part of it. And gosh, me wearing it? Are you nuts? So, Steve, that was 2 games with Doinks. Yeah, 1 win, 1 loss. Well, we got half of them. I mean, I always tell people I believe in karma very much. Hey, Bob, thanks for coming. And I said, do you think that ball would have doinked in under the old owner? No. Would they have won 5 straight games at the last play? No, they'd have lost 5 straight games at the last play. So karma is a real thing. Randy, thanks so much for chipping in. I do appreciate it. Let's see. Abdullah, are you on any different platforms? Well, I'm on X, Twitter, Rick Snyder's Warston. I'm on Blue Sky, but I'm not sure for how much longer. There's really just nobody there. I'm on Instagram, which surprisingly a lot of people are watching. Rick Snyder's Warston. I'm picking up a lot more people on Instagram than I would have guessed. I think that's it. Facebook's just my friends, and here on YouTube. So I don't know. We did 11 million impressions across social media last year. I don't know who the hell is watching that, but I can't go anywhere anymore. It's like being on the old days of being a TV anchor or something. It's really weird. I'm an old newspaper man. We used to hide in the public. No one knew what we looked like. But it's been cool. I mean, people have been great. I have no complaints. Nobody's come up and yelled at me yet. It's coming. Then I'll get in a fight and then I'll be back in trouble again. But, whatever. Changed the name line wire. Yeah. I see that icon. Daniel's rocking a 2-piece and a soda. Yeah, with a Diet Coke. It would have been funny. It would have been funny. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it. Ramon, thank you so much for chipping in. I do appreciate it all. It just helps. It's the new media world. I hate to sound like a whore, but I can sit here and sell another book, but I think I'll give you a break from that for a little bit. Eddie, I do appreciate you. Thanks for thanking me or whatever. Clayton, is there an update on pain? Hey, did you see that picture that they texted out of the dislocated finger? If you didn't go on X and see it, holy moly! I said it. I tweeted it last night. I said it looks like he had a dislocated finger. The way he was standing there and the way they were pulling on him, and his knees were buckling. Then you see what his bone looked like on that picture on Twitter. Holy moly, man, that had to hurt. I've never had a dislocated anything pulled back in. I've heard that it's a real bear. There was no updates today by Quinn. The only thing he said was Jordan McGee won't play this week for all you Jordan McGee lovers. He's re-injured his hamstring. The things that Quinn didn't say a whole lot of anything on Mondays. He never does. But he said basically he does feel a 12th man presence, not so much the fans as almost like they have guardian angels on their own team because somebody's going to come make a play. Really weird. And he said he likes that JD has such poise because it makes the others around him believe in what's going on better and focus better. I really think JD's a lot like Champ Bailey was. Was that now 25 years ago? Champ was cool. The cool hand Luke kind of cool. And I think the same thing with JD on that. The team's schedule this week, players got today off. Gee, how nice, because they didn't get back home till 4 a.m. or something. But they moved practices up a day on the weekly schedule because they're playing Saturday. So they fly out to Detroit on Friday on there. And again, somebody said, if this team was a boxer, who would it be? And he said, Hagler. And I'm like, no, no, Dan, no. This is Sugar Ray Leonard's hometown area. Sugar Ray grew up like 5 minutes from the stadium. We all love Sugar Ray Leonard, even though we never see him anymore. Uh, and so when he had to fight Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Tommy the Hitman Turns and all, we were Sugar Ray guys, not Hagler. But Hagler, I'll just say this, Hagler was. All three of those guys were champions. And Roberto Duran. Those four, man, whew, that was a world of boxing. That was like when they had the great heavyweight fighters. So I thought that was an interesting thing. I was like, Dad, you got to learn local history. Sorry. Don't say Hagler. Say Sugar Ray. Clayton, say has a pinky dislocated. Wasn't fun. I bet, man. I've never had that, luckily. Ramon, it looks like a long shot. What would a win in Detroit mean? Whew, man, this town will be on fire if that happens. We got an inauguration coming to town. Usually that's a big deal. I haven't felt it quite so much this year, but it's still time. Weather's decent. We got distracted by it actually snowed in town and messed everything up for a week. So everybody's distracted, but we have that coming. I mean, the magic of what the old Redskins were like has really been seen in the last week or so. I mean, it's just crazy how much everybody is so into it because, man, it's like a present, having your local team be good like this. And after all these years, a lot of you, it's the first time you've really gotten to experience it. If you're not, old enough to remember 91. So I covered that 91 NFC Championship game between Washington and Detroit. I was a punk young reporter, but I did cover it. So I have a little bit of background. That was a cold, gray day. The week before had been the seat cushion game, but both games were cold, rainy, muddy RFK days, and this team just grinded out the win both times. Todd, I want you to pass up. Thank you so much. Believe you can go to Detroit and do it. I believe it too. I think they can beat Detroit, but it better be a high-scoring game, and JD better play his pants, off, man, because the lines got to play better. Both lines have to play better. The running game would be nice if they had something, but frankly, we can't expect it anymore. So JD's going to have to just play lights out, and he certainly can. But the key to me is you win the coin toss, take the ball and score. Go up 7-0 because you don't want to be falling behind Detroit because you could be down 7 and then you blink, you're down 17. Don't do it. Try and jump ahead. That'd be one of the keys. C.E. Giles, the last doink I heard was when Kendrick hit the home run. Yeah, man. I was on the field for a Christmas thing at like a Christmas Village or something at Nats Park a year ago. And suddenly I looked up and there was that foul pole. I was right under it and I was like, ooh, cool. I mean, I sit in the press box so a lot of times, so different advantage. But I was right there on the field looking at it, just like, wow. I mean, the fandom in me kind of came out all of a sudden. I was like, whoa, look at that. That was cool. They practice Friday. Well, they do a light walkthrough, Greg. Anytime they do that, Friday, Saturdays, day before games, you're not going to practice because you don't want anything to happen. So you'll do the walkthrough mentally. What new plays are they doing? They will insert some new ones. So you walk through the stuff, you get a little stretching in, that kind of junk. At this point, we're at the end. Matthew, Eagles fan, okay? Yeah, that's all right. Who hurt you as a child, Matthew? Can we help? I'm just kidding. Everybody has a right to be a fan of whoever. And thank you for the compliment on JD. JD's an awesome young man, both as a football player and as a person. This team was so lucky to get him. I had to just taunt Chicago and say, you still go with that Caleb Williams pick? You could have had JD. So, yes, you missed Jordan. I'm sorry. Yeah, way it goes. Mikey Sues for, I get the weird feeling that Daniels, cool and calm rookie QB, is going to be out. Well, outdo Goff. I mean, Goff's a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. And 34-31 is kind of around what I'm thinking. I think both teams will score in the 30s. Eddie's back. Okay. Old school boxing. Took your dad to a boxing match and saw Ferdy Pacheco. Oh, okay. Not really. Don't remember him. What weight class was he in years? Joel, 45-7 Washington. Yeah, 91. I remember it was a blowout. So was the Atlanta game the week before. And then I covered the Super Bowl in Minneapolis where they beat Buffalo. You guys remember scores better than me, but I think they won like by 12 or something. That was a cool game. That was my first Super Bowl. It was cool. and it's over 30 years ago. Let's see, Steve. Tampa was rough, but Detroit's going to be a lot tougher. I agree with that. I mean, Detroit's had a fabulous year. They're 15-2, got the bye, so they're a little rested. It's not an easy game, but none of them will be easy games from now on. Let's see. Randy's been a Washington fan for 5 decades. All right, so you're old like me. Most of my YouTube following, I see the analytics, 35 and up. Pretty much nobody under 35 knows who I am. I'm up to 6% women followers. So, what can I tell you there? That's your problem. But a lot of my readers, the biggest group is like 55-year-old, more or less. So you guys are just old like me. So you look for a guy that looks like you, and there I am. The rest of them have their hair, they're young, got their teeth, Justin, in 2024 RE draft, do you think Washington takes Bo or Caleb if the Bears took Jaden? All right, so if we redid it, so the Bears took Jaden, he's off the board. I think I don't know. We're not even talking about a couple other guys there, but I guess Caleb. But I mean, Caleb's not without talent. The guy everybody's saying, oh, he had bad things around him. He wasn't the answer either. I'm not sure. I'd say I'm not into Caleb Williams' business. I don't think he'll succeed in the pros at any great length. Todd, Terps are playing really good lately. I did see the UCLA win myself, and was quite impressed. I mean, they got some shooters on this team. You got 5 guys averaging 10 points or better. They're going to, if this coach can grow them over the next month or so, they're going to be tough in March Madness. It's a decent team, plays hard. This NIL stuff has just blown up college sports so much. I was a diehard Maryland basketball fan. That was my team of everything. When I was 13 years old, I'm watching them. I went to the University of Maryland partly because of this, probably. Long old Terp. And, it's just with this NIL stuff, the rosters changed so much, it's hard to keep track. By the way, anybody happen to notice that Mike Locksley, the Maryland football coach, interviewed for the Jets job? First off, I can't believe the Jets would hire a college coach with a losing record. I don't think that's a good way they need. Secondly, I think Locksley, maybe he wanted the experience, but what are you telling your recruits? You know what your competitors are telling them? They're telling them you're looking to get out of there, and maybe you are, but now you've been exposed. I thought it was a bad idea for something that you weren't probably going to get. And if Locksley gets a Jets job, man, well, God bless you. Good luck. Joel, 34-24 Washington. Seemed like a 37-31, something like that. Mike, Doug Williams, and Theismann will always be the favorite Redskins. Well, maybe until Jaden cracks one of those rings open. We'll see. Craven, last time the Commanders won a playoff game, you were in 7th grade. Okay, that was 20 years ago, so you're like 33 now. All right, somebody younger here. All right. Steve, why are you redacting your messages? You must be writing mean things. Yeah, Joel, McCarthy his contract expires tomorrow. So did he really get fired if your contract expires by day? I don't know. I'll let the lawyers figure that out. Dr. Wonderful. Yeah, I was just saying, Jets were looking at Maryland coach Mike Locksley, but they've interviewed a lot of people. So I don't think Locksley's going there. Locksley's done a decent job at Maryland. Not great, but decent. Hadn't been terrible. Clay, more pressure on Detroit. I give you that. I mean, listen, Washington is the hot team in the playoffs now. And everybody knows if you may beat them, but they're going to be a tough out. Just like a few years ago when Tampa won the title. And remember, that was a Heineke game where he stretched us to the pylon. That was the closest game Tampa had in the whole playoffs. They had a glimmer of almost beating them for a moment. Pennsylvania Marine Patriot need to find a way to get neighbors. I know people were talking about that today. That's for later. Dude, I'm going to wait till the off season before I talk about getting anybody. Because you can't do anything right now. Focus on the game. Focus on this. And then we'll see. They are playing in State Farm Stadium. Yep. I love that Arizona area, Mike. I've been out there a number of times. It's a great area. Yeah, they did draw in the LA logo for the game, giving them a little bit of a home advantage. Dr. Warner, Dallas would be an attractive job. Absolutely, because it is the Cowboys, the richest team in the league. You've got a great following. You've got a lot of great things there, except for an owner. Maybe gets in the way, but he's getting older. Maybe you can, outlast him or something. Steve's pulling for the Vikings. I don't really care who wins this. I know both coaches, Kevin O'Connell and Sean McVay, were both in Washington, both great guys. Matter of fact, when McVay left, O'Connell got his job in Washington. And after his first press conference, I said, my God, he's a replica of Sean McVay. He's just actually a few years older. Usually you say that somebody's younger. He reminded me so much of Sean. So I'm not surprised by his success on this. Todd, Ron Rivera's interviewed for jobs. Yeah, I don't know if it's a Rooney Rule thing. I mean, Ron's got a long resume, but where's the success in it? Mikey, I recognize the UFO style of the stadium. Yeah, at Tampa, I used to cover games in the big sombrero before they built this stadium, which was kind of cool. When they built the Tampa Stadium, the first time I was in it, and they fired that pirate ship gun, scared the hell out of me. It's like, whoa, where is that from? Yeah, that was wild. And they have grass parking lots in Tampa, and I thought that's really strange. But then you think about it, it's so hot there. If it was asphalt, they'd all die. So I just never been in a grass parking lot like that. Let's see, Joel talking about Super Bowl 26. I never can remember those kind of numbers. 37-24. I can never remember because they're Roman numerals and all. David, what do I think is wrong with the run game? Two things. One, I don't think the runner has good vision and doesn't seem to have any pop once he gets to the line. And two, they're not giving them any room. So that doesn't help. And this team, opponents are starting to shut off the edges on this offense. And so they're going through the middle more than they would like. And JD can't get the outside and cut up field more than he would like. So that's going on too. Next year they're going to have to come up with some different plays because the edge is going to be watched much harder like it is now. James, I thought Tampa Bay would win. James, who hurt you as a child? James, you should have known better. Washington can beat Detroit, but they're going to have to watch the penalties. Yeah, you got to play a perfect game. No turnovers, few penalties. Pennsylvania Marine Patriot. You're right. Jerry Jones is his worst enemy, but his son's not much of an exec either. It's kind of like Al Davis and his son. Craven, I think Pete Carroll gets the Cowboys job. That's rumored. I mean, everybody's rumored now for all that. The Tampa Swabbies. All right, Steve, I got you there. Bob, under Danny, we botched the field goal in Tampa in 99. And now under Josh, they get the bounce as karma. Yeah, I thought of Dan Turk last night. I was covering that 99 game in Tampa. I knew Dan Turk well. I really liked him. He's one of my all-time favorites. A little rough around the edges, but he was a good guy. And so after the game, I waited by the team bus for him. And he popped out, and he's just manic, and he's just saying over. I was like, Dan, what happened? He kept saying, I can't believe it. He kept looking at his hands. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. A lot of people had this story that Dan Snyder wouldn't let him on the plane to come home. That's not true at all. Dan walked off. He had played in Tampa before, so he knew the area. He walked to town all night and then caught a commercial flight back in the morning. And he retired after that. About a month later, he was diagnosed with testicular cancer, and he would die. I think somebody said today was the anniversary of that, but no, I think it was December. He died right before the last game of the season. Just it had been very advanced, and he didn't want anybody poking him. I heard medically he waited too long. Terrible way to die. It was like 36 maybe. He was a fun guy. I liked Dan a lot, and he was that would have been like a 53-yard field goal. There's no saying they would have hit it. But when he blew the snap, that was over. And I thought last night, maybe Dan, in the hereafter is smiling a little bit that some redemption came back Washington's way, and they got the break on the last second field goal and won this one. So maybe that takes Dan out of purgatory. Rest in peace, Dan. Good guy. John, The O-line seems to regress. I think they're beat up a lot. I think that's the problem. I mean, listen, everybody's beat up now, but especially offensive linemen. They probably take the worst of everything on a consistent basis. Joel, did you see the hit was out of bounds on Daniel? Absolutely. What a cheap shot hit. I thought Tampa did a lot of cheap shot hits. But the ref was right there. How did he not see that JD was already out of bounds when he got nailed by that guy? That should have definitely been a 15-yard penalty. He could have tossed that guy from the game for that kind of cheap hit. I don't know why they didn't. Gibbs, why are too many people not giving us a solid chance to beat Detroit? Well, I mean, they are 8.5-point favorites. They are a good team. Not everybody is, Ashburn syndrome like, all of us are, and see the opportunity. They just figure, hey, 15-2, home field advantage, had a week off, 8.5-point favorites. There's not a lot not to like about that. I think you would be happy if it was reversed and they were coming to Washington and the Commanders were 8.5-point favorites. You'd be like, yeah. So that's okay. They'll settle it on the field and we'll figure out who's right and wrong. Mikey, let's see. Daniels, Brown, McLaurin all need to play out of their minds like they did before. Yeah. And I'm not OZ, Zane. Yeah, I saw him, pushing down his hair a bunch of times. And you're like, when it came out, he has OCD and that was part of it. I wonder what that was about. So, all right, Bob, the field goal last night took us out of purgatory. There you go. And I haven't seen Casey and Danny in a long time. All right, Mike, Washington ran hurry up to the line, but would wait 5 seconds to snap. Kind of trying to draw an offsides penalties there. Craven, I think this team's an explosive running back away from being contenders. Well, you give me Barkley. I agree with you there all the way. Just give me 1,000-yard back, and I'll be okay with that. If you get a great back, man, if they had Barkley, they would win the Super Bowl. Maybe they can trade John Allen for Barkley or something, as you guys like to hit me up for sometimes. What we at? 8:23. All right, man. I started early, but I guess I'll go to 9. What's going on? Nobody scored yet on the Rams and Vikings. I'm watching it out of one eye, but this eye's got a cataract starting on it. Ugh. I don't know if any of you guys have had that. My wife had them removed a few years ago, so I've seen what it's like. It's not a big deal, but I kind of have to wait for Medicare kick in about 6 months, and they'll pay for it all. So I got to kind of wander around. It's a little distracting, if nothing else. Getting old sucks. Don't do it. Craven, I think. Okay, got that. Yeah, Renee. Running game, I think they're just beat up, maybe. I mean, I know B-Rob is. I did not see Peters pick up Josh Harris, Joel, but I believe it. Everybody went to saw Magic, talk about things. Oh, all right. So the Rams got in. I forget who I picked. I think I picked Minnesota in this game. I'm 5-0 in this round of the playoffs. We'll see. Look at that. Yeah, boy. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Tyler. Well, there's always a good bunch of running backs, but it's such a different game in the pros than college. That you don't find too many ready-made running backs coming out occasionally, and they're only good for a few years. But if you got to get the line, this team's got to invest in the line. I honestly would move Coleman to the right tackle next season, maybe guard, but I'd probably right tackle. I don't think you re-sign Wiley and draft a left tackle. I think they would be much better. I mean, Coleman had a good first half of the year, and I think he's had some injuries and he's had some things. People watched tape on him, figured out how to get around him, and they had a problem like that yesterday. One of the really cool things I watched yesterday, in the first half in that long 17-play drive, is Tampa's Vita Vea, who's a big man, was just gasping for breath about 2/3 of the way through that drive. And I thought, ooh, if you're already gasping for breath now, Washington's going to take it to him in the second half, which they kind of did. Just show. I thought, how can you not be in shape? This far into things, you've been playing for all this time. Cardio-wise, how can you be tired? I just thought that was a real telling point. Randy agrees with me about tackles. There you go. What's their reason for not using C-Rod as much? Gibbs. Well, B-Rob's the starter. Um, you know, they just have. I mean, C-Rod's been on and off the roster, but whenever he's played, he's done okay. You know, he I don't know. Sometimes coaches have a pecking order and they just don't want to change it. That could be it. Steve, RFK is going down end of the month. Yep, they're going to start the demolition. I'm not sure when they finish it, but they're going to listen. The inside of RFK is gutted. It's all empty. They basically got to dismantle the roofing, the dome roof on the top, and then pull down the walls. They got to take off the curved dome. You got to dismantle it. They're going to get a crane, bring it down to the ground, and then further dismantle it, cut it up, and ship it off. So that takes a little bit of time, and then you're going to knock down the the base of it all. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but asbestos is why they're being so careful about all this. All right, Clayton didn't pay enough attention since Eckler returned. There you go. I mean, Eckler's got some plays in there, but he's not a prime back anymore either. But he's good at spots. Temperature game time 57 in Arizona. Well, Arizona gets cool in the evening. Sun goes down. I've been there. I mean, it's January. So I'm sure those people are glad it's not 100. Man, Arizona was like 100 degrees for 100 days last year or something. I have a friend lives out there. I'm like, dude, that's insane to be in that hot of weather for 100 days. I don't care if it is a dry heat. Pennsylvania Marine, this draft has some good RBs. I haven't even looked at the next draft yet. I haven't looked at it at all. I am in the moment. I just worry about this week's game. That's how I get through the season. Can't look at big picture. You got to just look in front of you. I've always done that. Often couldn't tell you who they play next, kind of thing. That's just how I have to do it. Players taught me that. That's what players do. And I got Rick Snyder's Washington crooked. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Randy, I'm surprised they haven't put a tight end over there a little more to help Coleman yet this last game because he was getting beat. All right, Renee, remember the 91 NFC Championship against Detroit? Saw a Barry Sanders documentary. He said the Skins were the best team he ever faced. That was their best team, because the first two Super Bowls they won on strike years, not to downplay that, but the 91 was sort of everybody's peak year, and then they all got old real quick. But that was kind of their peak. All right, let's see. PH, is it too early to talk about JD5 sophomore slump? Yes, it is. You're a banned, PH. No. Bob, are you going to try and go to the inauguration? No. No. I mean, listen, I don't care who would get elected. I wouldn't go. I've been to an inauguration. You can't see anything. It's cold. It's crowded. You go once if you're a Washingtonian, and then you watch them on TV after that. The older you get, the more you do that. That's a young man's game more there. But I'm going to have a story up on Monday on ricksnyderswashington.com about crowd counts. I have 27 different inaugural crowd counts that I researched long ago using newspapers and all. You remember them. And I have the attendance figures on them. They're pretty cool. But things have changed now with the internet as far as crowds. Okay. Do I have any souvenirs from RFK? Yeah, John, it's across my house. Unfortunately, I'd be gone for 5 minutes. But I have a sweatshirt from the last game. So that's my biggest one. I don't keep a lot of souvenirs. Not a stuff person. Grew up with no money, so I learned not to buy stuff. Let's see. Pennsylvania Marine, 86, my favorite Super Bowl. 87. You're thinking, right? The one with the strike team where they beat Denver, probably. It was a cool one. I covered a lot of that team that year, but I didn't get picked to go cover the Super Bowl. And I was back at the park the next day when everybody came. I'll tell you a funny story. Next day, after the Super Bowl, Doug Williams comes into the PR office at the old park, gets his mail, stuff like that. And this pizza delivery kid comes in. And he sees Doug Williams. He's so shocked. He rips off the top cardboard cover and has Doug sign it. and Doug did. I don't know who that pizza was for, but they didn't get a top to box because that kid just goes, Doug, oh, ripped it right off. Yeah, I always remember that. DC Mark, Brothers fan or Lions fans? Oh, you can always have friendly wagers. I had some. I beat Grant Paulson on our annual wager this year. I said that Jamin Davis and Emmanuel Forbes would make it to the end of the year, so he owes me lunch. I lost to him the year before. I've got a bet going with a Richmond reporter about where he has Virginia as the site of a new stadium. We made this bet like 10 years ago. And I said, once they break ground, you owe me lunch. I have DC and Maryland. So Samuel's in. Thank you. Amazing. Well, Gary told me the last game. Yeah, it was. I just kind of laughed at the end. Like, of course they won this way. It's just what we do. That's what they do. Raul, Commanders are the second best team left in the NFC playoffs. Yeah, it's just you got to beat the Lions, who are the best one, but they can. Brian's here tonight. I just met Brian last week. Was it last week? It was the week before. So he bought pizza. Pizza wasn't the best of places, but it was okay. I like the place, Gordon Ramsay's place downtown. It's just Gordon doesn't know how to make pizza right. The Lions are going to rush for 200 yards, Jermaine. All right, Jermaine. Who hurt you as a child? We'll take a list here. Bob, the Richmond reporter is Michael, not Woody. Woody's retired. Woody would never make that bet on it. I felt sorry. Your beat writers that you guys always like to hit on hard. This poor guy's for a second time in like 8 days have had no sleep, coming off a night game, catch an airport, and get back. I remember those days. You get like 2 hours sleep. So give your beat writers a hand and appreciate it. I was at home because no one pays me to travel anymore. I remember those days. Those are hard days. So those people are hopefully all asleep right now. Let's see, Mike. Did you see the hit Jaden took on the sideline? Yeah. It's funny. I answered it a little bit earlier, but I'll answer it again because most people watch the show for about 15 minutes. So if you're watching the show now, if after the show ends at 9, it goes into repeat. You can watch the earlier stuff you missed or anything late you didn't stay for. So more people watch it after than during. We have a decent crowd tonight, but it's just weird. So I have to sometimes answer questions because people, they don't stay the whole hour. I like Steve, and Todd. But anyway, yeah, it was a cheap hit. I thought Tampa threw a lot of cheap hits, and that should have been a flag for sure. And the ref was right there, so I don't understand why he didn't. Gregory, I think Virginia won't make a stadium offer. Yeah, that's not happening. Louise Luca, who runs the money committees out of Richmond, she killed that arena for the Wiz and Caps, and there's no way she's funding a football stadium. So Virginia's not getting it. Todd went to a Georgetown Syracuse game back in 2011. Wow. Yeah, they're back when they were good. I'll never forget riding by RFK. Always saw it on TV, but in person it was awesome. Yeah, it's still there if you want to go see it. Hurry up. Won't be there too much longer. It looks like life after people at this point, but it was still cool. If you've never seen a stadium, and a lot of people watch them. We have a lot of European people who watch this show. Usually in a few hours from now, they don't stay up late, but, they come to Washington. I take them out on tours. They want to go see RFK. I don't blame them. I always thought that was wild. I was in Tennessee once and for a game against the Titans. And, people would be in bars. I was totally somewhere else in the state. And I thought, and it was hours away from where they played the game. And I just thought, why would you be a fan of a team that you never get to go to the stadium and watch? But obviously, it's a real thing. Steve, yeah, that's when he got his face cut, was that cheap hit. Lewis is here. Lewis, I hope you're okay. Lewis is out in L.A. area. I hope the fires have spared you from that. Man, that's terrible. We all watch that on TV, man. It's just such a nightmare. Who do you think was the unsung hero from last night's game? Ooh. Well, Wagner recovered the fumble, right? So I'll go that one. I mean, because listen, you score touchdowns, you're not unsung heroes. And there's nobody on the lines that I would really say, did great. The linebackers played pretty well. Brian, if I've been looking at potential free agents yet? No, Brian, that goes along with the draft class. That's next season. I'm worried about this season. When this season is over, then next season becomes this season, and then I look at these things. But until then, no. I don't have enough time. I don't know how you guys have this time. I'm too busy as it is. So, no, I take what I fight the battle in front of me. Mike, yeah, no punts again. Boy, I trust Way is getting away with murder, isn't he? He does hold for kicks, though. Gosh, I think that's the fourth time or third. Third, I think, that he didn't do it. First two games, he had like one punt. You know, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I kept looking at the end. I looked at the box score after the game. I was going, man, did Tris not punt today? Did I miss something? I always thought that was pretty wild. Are we as good as Gibbs playoff teams, Gregory? Ooh, that's a good question. Not as good as 91. That team had 9 All Pros. I would say 87, sure. They're as good as 87. And 83, 83 I think was a little better. But I would say they're better than 87. Okay. All right, so DJ, what did I initially think about Dan Snyder? I was a little skeptical, as I am of everybody new that I meet, to be honest. If you meet me out there, don't be afraid to say hello. But a lot of times when people come to me and go, Rick, I think, who the hell is this? I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't recognize who this is. Well, no, I've never met you. I shouldn't be that way. But I always am skeptical of strangers because you don't know who's trying to play a game on you. Well, Dan Snyder, I just thought, it didn't take long before the war started with him, like a few weeks. He got mad at my columnist for calling him boy owner, and he took it out on me, and then he and I went at it. And that's, I had a heart attack at the Redskin Park. He's making jokes of me dying. Piece of dirt. I hope Dan realized. Well, Dan will never realize it. He'll never think it was his fault what happened to this team. But karma's a real pain. Clayton, they won the time of possession. I hadn't looked at that. Okay. But with those long drives they have, doesn't surprise me. A 17-play drive was like 9 minutes right there. Oh, Rams just no, I didn't call that one. Do we have to be as good as those teams to make it further, Brian? You got to be as good as those teams pretty much to make the NFC Championship, especially since you're playing the top seed. Yeah, you got to play. Well, I wouldn't say you have to be as better than those teams. You just have to be better in Detroit. That's a hard thing to say. Suzanne, what do you think of the demands of Jerry Jones for a head coach? Yeah, I don't know why he wants to cut his overhead. The Cowboys make more money than anybody else in the league does. Jerry well, listen, everybody wants to be a Cowboys coach because it's as good a job in the league as there is between the fan base, the football culture, the money. So he'll get not too many people will turn down their nose at that. Brian's laughing. Okay. All right. Let's see. It was 8:40. All right. Here comes the Rams trying to kick a field goal and go up 10-0. Here we go. And it's up. It's good. And it's 10-0 Los Angeles. Okay. I mean, hey, don't underplay Sean McVay. Smart guy. I met Sean McVay when he was in his mid-20s coaching with Washington. And everybody who knew Sean McVay said the same thing. This kid one day is going to be great. Well, he got a head coaching job at 30. People say he's too young. I thought, no, he's not, because he was a generational coach, in a football family, and smart guy when it comes to football. I saw the Rams even some of them took their dogs and cats, and a couple goats or something went with the team. because they're trying to get out of LA and, you can't leave your animals behind with that fire. I can't imagine. I feel sorry for those people they're trying to reunite with their pets. I loved my dogs when I had them. That would kill me if I had lost a dog to the fire. So I don't blame them. Gregory, still shocked Dan Snyder sold the team. Me too, but I think the pressures just mounted too much and he had to. Slam and Jammin's here, okay? First playoff win, 19 years. God, when you say it like that, it seems like a long time. Yep, Dan Snyder. I don't know if Dan Snyder, what he's up to. You don't hear anything about him. He's probably on his yacht, bossing people around, making them walk the plank or something. Steve, am I covering the DC Defenders? No. I went to a game with my buddy Matt. We do the podcast together. I had fun. It just was an NFL football. Anything else just seems smaller to me. I haven't watched much of the college football this year. I hope Notre Dame wins because I like people to win. Ohio State's won plenty of times. So it's Notre Dame, but not recently. So I think I'm going to root for Notre Dame when I watch that game. That's the inaugural night. It's going to be a big day. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so the federal government's off. A lot of people are off, but they're also off because of the inaugural. So my friends are like, hey, man, this is 2 holidays and we get 1 day off. My heart breaks for you. I never got paid holidays off. At best you got some overtime. That was it in the news business. So the Defenders was cool. The crowd's cool. It's a lot of people wanting something different than the Redskins at the time. I'd be interested to see now that everybody's on the bandwagon, what's left over for the Defenders. That's going to be an interesting question. We'll see what the crowds are. Samuel, no one cares about the bass guy. Well, nobody likes him, but they all care about him to hope he's hating life. Yeah, Brian, I don't know if he watched the games or not. I have a feeling he's not. He wasn't so much a fan of the team as he was a fan of money. The way things went. All right, we got a few minutes to go. It says I did 52 minutes so far. It means 8 to go. But we'll see. Food-wise, food videos. We opened a Royal Farms about 3 minutes from my house the other day, and I eat the chicken as I have other Royal Farms. It's awfully good chicken. And so immediately down here, everybody asks, is as good as Chaptico Market, which is renowned for their just a little place way down Southern Maryland. And they make great chicken. I did a video once on it. 100,000 people watched. So I'm going to do a blind taste test with Chaptico Chicken and Royal Farms. And I better get it right because if I don't pick the local, I'm going to get run out of here. But we'll see. I'll have to cheat on that one for sure. But I don't know. Chaptico Market, I'd say right now Royal Farms chicken is not as good as Chaptico. It's close, but not quite as good. Brent, don't know if Lattimore will be anything close to where he should be. Well, maybe the pressure's off a little bit after going against Evans. Now you just go play football. So I think maybe he'll play a little better. Gregory, Dan Snyder should buy the Cowboys. Boy, yeah, that would be something, wouldn't it? That would be funny. Todd, you had Royal Farms tonight? Yeah. I mean, I like their potato wedges, but sometimes they make them too big. So it's like you're eating a whole potato and they're not cooked through. That's the one downside. Mike, what's the snow count for the last 2 storms? Got about 10 inches on the first storm and about 1 inch on the second storm. So my neighbor had a snow plow of sorts. He had an ATV that he rigged with it. And he helped me a lot with those. I have a very long driveway and I have a 6-car parking lot that I put on my house. So I was still out there 4 hours clearing sidewalks and cars and all that jazz. When you get a dry snow, like we got one the other day, leaf blowers, they work great on it. Man, I blew all that stuff off. I thought, I'm a genius. It only took me till I was 64 to figure this out. Of course, we didn't have snow blowers when I was younger, but I used that thing. That helped me a little bit. I still got a lot of work in from all that. Roy Rogers chicken is a good one too, Mike. I like eating theirs too. But if I had to write on the pecking order, it's still Chaptico first. Ooh, I would say Royal Farm second, Roy's third. I actually met Roy Rogers, and sadly, I heard this big fire out in L.A. burned his old ranch. That's such a shame. He had a nice place, but Roy Rogers came to open the Roy Rogers in Southern Maryland in 1978 or so, and my girlfriend, and he had a long receiving line. You could shake Roy's hand. So I took a picture for the local paper of Roy shaking my girlfriend's hand. I married her. I can't find the photo anywhere, but uh, I wish I could. There'd be a picture of us with Roy Rogers. That would, how cool would that be? You know, happy trails. Steve, remember the Skins, Capital, and Wizards won on the same day? Really? I didn't even notice that. Okay. Really? Okay. Thought they lost. See, Mike's another Roy Rogers guy. It's good. It's just not as good as Chapter Market. Hi, Antoinette. Glad you could make it. Clayton, we need to let Ben Johnson know Saturday he got the better head coach. We got the better coach. I don't disagree with that. I think I've sat back and watched Quinn all season, and I would say, I just want to see. And I don't say this to be a smartass here, that, he reminds me a lot of the Ted Lasso character because he's very bubbly and positive and all that stuff, which are all good things. But I was thinking today that Dan should write a book about how to deal with the new younger players, the 20 somethings. When I was, playing sports as a kid, coach would smack you upside the head and tell you go do something. Those kind of things are gone. This is a new ball player, just as the new 20 something out there in the workforce. They think I don't have to come into work, right? Anyway, it's a different way of dealing with things. And I think Dan has done a really good job with that. He also did a couple other things I really liked. He did he did Lincoln's team of rivals, which meant that he got a lot of guys he used to compete against become part of his team, guys like Kingsbury, and formed a new group and got the chemistry that way. He got a lot of veteran leaders who weren't looking for one last payday. They were looking for a ring. Guys like Eckler and Wagner and Ertz. And it got them to be leaders on this team and take the pressure off of Jaden, who is not the vocal leader of this team. But people like him, they follow him. But the other three are the guys that really, and Terry McLaurin too, those are the guys who lead this team. So, and then if you look at the draft picks, every draft pick they got was a team captain in college. He got a certain group of people who were going to buy into this thing. And they did. And they're still buying into it. And he's done a great job of that. And I thought Quinn should write a book about how to deal with the younger workforce. And if I'm, running a Costco or something, I really think you could learn something paying attention to what Quinn's done here, and how to work with people. Because one day we were saying, hey, did you get on that one player who had 3 penalties in the game? He goes, well, yeah, we talked about it, but you don't have to be a jerk. I thought, ooh, a lot of coaches would disagree with you about that. But Quinn's right. I mean, nobody likes being yelled at by a boss. But he's figured out how to do these things, trending upward, things like that. I think he's done a really good job. He should be coach of the year. I don't want to hear anything about Detroit's coach. He had a great team already coming into the season. This team, who else has won, 7 games more than they were supposed to? Something like that. Let's see. Steve, okay, he knows Chaptico Chicken too. Okay. And he talks about the old Burt's 50s diner. Man, that was a nice place. I'm sorry, they closed it because the owner got old and couldn't sell it to anybody. What I hear, it's now a golf cart sales place. Still has a big car on top of the roof, though. Roost, does team success make RFK more realistic? Yes, because everybody wants a winner. I talked about this the other day. Harris has got a horseshoe in his pocket off this one because, when they were, a bad team, it'd be great to have them. Well, now that they're going to be a really good team, now you really want them. There's a big difference, and that'll make a difference in the negotiating. Though I saw Harris today cried uncle and gave up on his Philly downtown arena. We'll see. Eddie. Okay, so there you go. I think it's a good idea for a book. If he needs a ghostwriter, maybe you can talk to him. Maybe I've ghostwritten before with people. I used to be Johnny Unitas' ghostwriter for a while, and Johnny would just be like, write what you want." I was like, "Johnny, could you give me a couple facts?" You know, did that for him. Pennsylvania Patriot. Well, thanks, appreciate it. Gregory, I do think that the team is going to build a new practice facility in Ashburn. That's what they've been talking about. And sell the one they have and go to something new. And now Minnesota is on the board. So it's 10-3. There you go. Crack the egg. So yeah, I think they stay in Ashburn no matter whether they're in DC. I mean, there's nowhere to put a practice facility in DC. There's no room. I retweeted a story called From Greater Washington. It's a website, Greater Washington. It talks about a lot of planning issues and mechanics and neighborhood dynamics and stuff in the DC area. And they did a really good rundown of, okay, you got this many acres. This is what you need this for. This is what's going to that. These are wetlands. And it kind of showed how, you can't really get a stadium and all these other things in there. There really isn't the land, partly because of the conservation taking away some of it. And it won't be nearly the parking. I can tell you that now. The days of tailgating like that, they're kind of going to end. Sorry, you can't drink 20 beers in the parking lot. Greg, I got that one. And we got Steve. I caught up there. Okay, I caught up. All right. So here's my last plea for money since I'm a whore. I didn't do an OnlyFans site yet. So, man, some of these women are making like $1 million. For $1 million, man. You can see all of this. I mean, so if you can chip in, there's a $ thing below the screen here if you're on YouTube on there. And we always appreciate it. And let me write in one more thing. Let's see. PayPal is Rick Snyder 99 use my old AOL address for that. Or Venmo if you want to just kick in some money. If you're watching on replay, you can still do it. Make sure you pay attention to how to spell Snyder correctly. There you go. There's my PayPal and Venmo if you'd like to contribute that way, because not everybody watches on YouTube. And I understand TVs don't have a $sign on the screen. And about 25% of you watch my stuff on big screens, which scares the hell out of me. I can only imagine what I look like in 44-inch TV on here. Also, if you're in DC area, News Channel 8, the WJLA 24/7 channel 8, whatever it used to be. I'm on with them at 9 o'clock. So you can see me there too. We talk about Commanders. Suzanne, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. You got to put a /C at the end of that, though. Sorry. I don't make the rules. I used to sign my books years ago, HTTR. People go, what's that? I go, Hail to the Redskins. Oh, so it hasn't been around forever. It's been more like last 10 years. That's kind of going mainstream. Not everybody puts their hand up left. Not everybody's putting their left hand up this year. What happened there? Todd, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Any last questions? Whatever you want to ask. Pizza, whatever. We talked about chicken tonight, but let's see. I think Suzanne, unlike the Commander's name, well, when they hoist the Lombardi, you'll go Hail to the Commanders. Whatever. They don't have it's too bad they don't have a home playoff game, but the way it goes, 6th seed. That's why you got to try and win your division. Let's see. Yeah, and Green Bay's out, so yeah, they can't do it now. No 6th seed has ever hosted a playoff game. 2 6th seeds have made it and won Super Bowls, but they didn't even host their NFC championships or whatever. So the Cardiac Commanders. There you go, Todd. See, that's what you have to call them now. You get that Commanders thing working. Hail to the Rick. I like that. I'll call my wife and tell her to read that one. Win a division next year, Lizard. Very possible. They're moving along. Super Bowl's in New Orleans. Great place for a Super Bowl. I know that terrible thing that happened on Bourbon Street, but I'm sure they'll have a big police presence when the Super Bowl comes. And it's a great city. I mean, that's why they do it. Ooh, Minnesota just scored a touchdown. So, we're going to be tied up here. There you go. You think it's going to be easy, and it's not. Wow. Stafford, what? Stafford do something dumb there? When we beat Detroit, who do you want? I guess Philly. Why not? Might as well knock out your rival. The Giants. They beat the Giants in the NFC Championship many years ago. They got them. They beat Detroit that one year. They beat Dallas twice in the NFC Championships. So why not take out Philly that way? That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, no mercy on any of us. I'm just watching this too to see. Yeah, it was a touchdown for Minnesota. So tied it up on this. That's what you like. That's why the NFL is so great. It's so seldom really just butt kickings. People come back and forth. That's what you want to watch. Oh, call back? Well, he declared a touchdown. You rather have Minnesota or better weather, Mike? Well, on the Eagles. What year do you think gets a new stadium, EW? 2030 has been talked about a lot. But if they do something this year and get an agreement in place, they might be able to go 28. I mean, it takes 3 years, basically, from when you start permitting to break ground. Once you break ground, you can get it up in less than 2 years, I think. So as long as you have a decent winter. This winter's been a little harsher on us. Oh, it's time to go run and talk to Scott. You're right, 2 minutes from now. Dwight, thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Yep, and now I got to go jump off this and jump on the other one. So got to change clothes too, in case you're wondering on there. So thank you all so much. Be back next week. We'll do this to the Super Bowl. Maybe it'll be this team. I don't know. But we're going to do whatever. So I'm Rick Snyder for Rick Snyder's Washington. Thank you all so much for coming. I do appreciate it. And I'll see you next week. And then, of course, don't forget, 6 a.m. videos are up and then around dinner too. So there's always something to talk about. So thank you all. I'll see you soon.